Our Mod RC back here. Next step is the ball diff. So this is a kit I got from Kyosho, and getting ready to get this started here. So I'm gonna get this together and then move on to the rest of the kit. Alright, just finished the ball diff, which is on the left hand side, and to the right is the factory gear diff, which is pre-assembled. So I don't really know much about the ball diff, except for a little bit of research that I did. I guess it just reacts quicker. I guess it's more desirable on a, off-road, bumpy surface, where the gear diff is more desirable for, a flat, smooth surface. So the ball diff sounded like it'd be a better option for me, so I'm going to give it a shot, and if it wears out or just too much to fiddle with as far as adjustment, then I'll just put the gear diff back in. And as far as the comparison, rotating them, they feel about the same. I don't know, I just thought that maybe the ball diff would be smoother, but like I said, it feels about the same. Alright, so I just finished doing the rear pinion, got the motor installed. This is what it looks like so far. So next up, I believe, will be rear suspension. Alright, Mod RC just checking back in. So I've been working on the Turbo Scorpion some more, and I just finished the rear control arms. So everything went smooth. One thing, they call for grease on the end of the dog, or each end of the dog bone, which they give you. It's the same grease that you use for like the gearbox and the diff. And then for this shaft, they tell you to oil each end of it where it passes through the control arm. They don't give you any oil, so the only thing that I had handy laying around was just some shock oil. I just used the heaviest stuff I have, which is 40 weight. And just put a thin coat on and assembled everything. So it takes care of the control arms. The next steps will involve assembly of the shocks. Alright, checking back in, just finished assembling all the shocks, just haven't put fluid in them yet, so here's what they look like. This is the last one I just have to screw together. That's the internals. Everything fit really well, no issues. I do definitely want to follow the instructions and make sure you're paying attention here, because the shocks are not 100% identical. As you can see, the front on top, rear on bottom. This first disc that you put on is a different part. The front uses part B, rear is part A, and that translates to number 2 and number 1. So there's the parts there, the discs, and then what the difference is, just the diameter of the hole. It's a very small difference, but you can tell there's a difference. And then the only other difference between the front and rear, as you can see the front right here, the front uses this little red plastic spacer, and the rear does not. So here's a completed front with that red spacer. And then the rear, which I just have to screw together, which does not have it. Alright, so next up is just filling the shocks, and then assembly of the springs, and then installation. Our Mod RC checking back in, so I'm just getting ready to fill the shocks with oil. They're all assembled, so my father-in-law 3D printed this little plastic vise for me, so it's going to work out perfect to hold the shock body while I fill it up and get these shocks assembled. Alright, just finished all 4 shocks all together. Everything went smooth, and they work nice and smooth. And I guess the only thing to take note of is the instructions specify these collars. There's a left and right, so I'm not really sure the orientation, so I'm going to get them on and then figure that out. But I do have opposites for the front and rear, so it's no big deal. Get it together. So the next step is just getting the rear shocks on, and then moving to front suspension.